The slave market of Draxus Prime reeked of desperation and rust. Captain Aaron Solis stood chained to a plasma pole, his wrists raw from the energy restraints, watching as the galaxy's worst scum paraded their merchandise. He'd been captured 3 cycles ago when his scout ship strayed too close to the Korthak's reach. Now he was just another commodity waiting to be sold. But it wasn't his own fate that concerned him in this moment. Across the dirt-packed arena floor, a small cage rattled violently. Inside, a creature no larger than a terrier whimpered and hissed in alternating waves of fear and defiance. Kirak the merchant had called it was a juvenile Velcrin, one of the galaxy's apex predators. Even as a cub, its obsidian scales gleamed like polished armor, and its 6 amber eyes tracked every movement with unnerving intelligence. The Velcrin were legends. Adult specimens could tear through starship hulls with their claws and possessed a bite force that could crush tritanium. They were also critically endangered, hunted nearly to extinction by poachers who sold their organs for obscene prices on black markets. This cub should have been with its mother, learning to hunt in the methane forests of Velcross. Instead, it was here. Terrified and alone. Aaron had been watching Kirak for 2 days now. The little predator refused the rotted meat the slavers threw into its cage. It paced endlessly, crying out in ultrasonic frequencies that made Aaron's ears ring, even through his translator implant. No one else seemed to care. To them, Kirak was just merchandise, valuable, dangerous merchandise, but merchandise nonetheless. The afternoon auction had just begun when Warlord Thax'Ul entered the market. Even among the violent dregs of Draxus Prime, Thax'Ul commanded respect through sheer brutality. The Kravassian stood nearly 3 meters tall, his 4 arms ending in serrated claws, his exoskeleton decorated with the bones of enemies. He controlled 17 systems through fear alone, and his reputation for creative cruelty preceded him like a dark omen. Thax'Ul surveyed the market with eyes like dying suns. When his gaze fell upon Kirak's cage, his mandibles clicked in amusement. "A Velcrin cub," he rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. "Excellent. My collection requires a centerpiece." The merchant scurried forward, already calculating profits. "My lord, this specimen is—" "I'll take it." Thax'Ul gestured dismissively. The merchant bowed so low his forehead touched dirt. 2 of his assistants rushed to Kirak's cage, struggling to lift it between them. The cub inside went wild, throwing itself against the bars, shrieking. That's when it happened. One of the assistants stumbled, and the cage tilted dangerously. Kirak tumbled out through the partially opened door, landing hard on the packed earth. The impact knocked the wind from its small body. It lay there stunned, vulnerable, those 6 amber eyes wide with shock. Thax'Ul's laughter boomed across the market. "Clumsy fools." He strode forward, raising 1 massive foot. "Perhaps I'll simply crush it and take the bones instead." Aaron moved without thinking. The energy restraints that held him were designed for beings with normal human strength, not for someone whose body was flooded with adrenaline and the desperate need to protect something helpless. The plasma pole groaned as Aaron yanked against it with every ounce of his strength. Metal shrieked. The restraints sparked once, twice, then shattered. He was across the arena in 4 heartbeats. Thax'Ul's foot descended toward Kirak's small form. Areen dove, scooping the cub into his arms and rolling clear. The warlord's foot cratered the earth where the cub had been. For a moment, the market fell absolutely silent. Aaron rose to his feet, cradling Kirak against his chest. The cub trembled violently, its scales cold with fear. Instinctively, Aaron shifted his grip, supporting the creature's weight properly. 1 hand under its chest, the other steadying its haunches. He could feel its rapid heartbeat against his palm. "Human," Thax'Ul said slowly, mandibles spreading in what might have been a smile. "You've just made a fatal mistake." "Maybe," Aaron replied quietly. His eyes never left the warlord. "But I made it anyway." "No." Thax'Ul moved with shocking speed for something so large. His leg lashed out, a roundhouse kick that would have decapitated most beings. But Aaron wasn't most beings. He'd been a combat medic in the Terran Defense Corps, trained to make split-second decisions under fire, to protect the vulnerable even when every instinct screamed to run. He turned his body, taking the impact on his shoulder instead of his head, keeping Kirak safely tucked against his chest. The force of the blow sent him sprawling, but he rolled with it, never loosening his grip on the cub. Taxuul advanced, all four arms spreading like the wings of some nightmare bird. "I'm going to enjoy pulling you apart slowly, human. After I crush that pathetic creature you're clutching." "No," Aaron said. "You're not." The Warlord's lower right leg snapped forward in another kick, this one aimed at Kirak directly. Aaron shifted, putting his own body between the attack and the cub, and then something in him snapped. Aaron's free hand shot out, catching Taxuul's leg mid-kick. His fingers, trained to set bones and suture wounds with delicate precision, now gripped with the opposite intent. Every anatomy lesson he'd ever learned, every weakness he'd catalogued in the dozens of species he'd treated, crystallized in his mind. Kravotians had exoskeletons, yes, but their joints were vulnerable. Aaron twisted, using Taxuul's own momentum against him. The Warlord's knee, or its equivalent, bent backward with a wet, cracking sound that echoed across the market. Taxuul roared in pain and fury. He tried to pull back, but Aaron held on with grim determination. With his left arm still cradling Kirak gently, Aaron put all his weight, all his strength, all his rage, at a galaxy that would harm children, any children, even predators, into one final, terrible motion. Taxuul's legs separated from his body with the sound of tearing metal and splitting chitin. The Warlord collapsed, green ichor spraying from the catastrophic wound. His screams turned the air electric with ultrasonics. Aaron stood over him, still holding Kirak carefully against his chest with one arm, the severed leg dangling from his other hand. Around them, the market had erupted into chaos. Slavers fled. Guards shouted. Alarms wailed. Aaron looked down at the cub in his arms. Kirak had stopped trembling. Those 6 amber eyes stared up at him with something that might have been understanding. Very carefully, Aaron adjusted his grip, making sure his fingers weren't pressing on any sensitive spots, that the cub's spine was properly supported. "It's okay," he whispered. "I've got you." Behind him, Taxuul's personal guards finally reacted, weapons raised. Aaron didn't care. He'd made his choice. He'd protected something that needed protecting, showed gentleness to something the galaxy called monstrous. That was enough. But before the guards could fire, a sound split the air, a roar that made Taxuul's screams seem like whispers. Every being in the market froze. From the eastern sky, a massive shape descended. An adult Velkrin, scales gleaming like midnight, eyes blazing like captive stars. Kirak's mother. She landed between Aaron and the guards with earth-shaking force. Her massive head swung toward her cub, then toward Aaron. For a long moment, apex predator and human locked gazes. Aaron extended his arms slowly, offering Kirak back to its mother. The adult Velkrin lowered her head, and Kirak scrambled up onto her back with a joyful chirp. Mother and cub touched foreheads in a gesture of obvious affection. Then the mother turned back to Aurene. What happened next would become legend across 17 systems. The Velkrin bowed. Then she spoke, her voice translated through his implant. "Your species is strange. Soft thing. But you have honor." Her massive tail swept the guards aside like leaves. "Go. Run. I will ensure no one follows." Aaron didn't need to be told twice. As he ran toward the docking bays where ships were already fleeing the chaos, he heard the sounds of the Velkrin exacting vengeance on those who'd caged her child. He still had Taxuul's leg in his hand. Somewhere in the madness, that struck him as funny. He'd protected a child, an alien child, a predator child with gentle care, and he'd ripped apart a warlord to do it. Both could be true. Both were human. As his stolen ship broke atmosphere, Aaron looked back once. On the planet below, a mother and cub were reunited. That was all that mattered.